Why was the broom late and overswept? So remember the other week where I was talking about how much I was gonna read this summer and how great it would be if I did weekly wrap-ups? You may or may not have noticed that last week I did not post one of these weekly wrap-ups, and that is because I am epically failing at reading this month. So a couple days ago I invested in this. So I've had a lot of trouble getting off Tumblr and getting inside of my books instead. Which is why I only read 2 books and 2 graphic novels this month. Also, because I now have iMovie, this is either going to be the best video you've ever watched because the editing is so brilliant, or it'll look like it's been done by a 4-year-old, so we'll find out. I can add like some really relatable background music finally. So as soon as I finished The Last Leaves Falling, which was the last book in my first weekly wrap-up, I immediately began The Kite Runner by Colette Husseini, and as you can tell, I have a bookmark in there, and I didn't get very far. This took me like 2 days to get into. It wasn't that great. I'm only on page 40, and I just felt so bored reading it, and I felt the very beginning of a reading slump, and I was like, oh no. So I decided to just put this aside. So I think I'm just gonna remove this from my summer TBR. It's not what I'm really in the mood for right now. I know if I put it down, I'm gonna be hesitant to pick it back up, which is why I bought the audiobook. So when people say great things about this, I'm only on page 40. I'm gonna keep reading it. Hopefully the audiobook will keep me more interested than I was reading this in the text form. Something I did not mention in my June TBR is that this month I turned 18, so I got a library card. So I've been utilizing that, and I've been getting graphic novels from the library. So the first graphic novel that I got from the library I've already returned, so I can't hold it up, but it was Chew. Don't know the author, but it's really popular. It follows a man whose name I can't recall, like Choi or something. Andy maybe? Anytime he tastes something, he can see its origins and its backstory, and so he starts to get into crime fighting and uses that power to help with that. I've heard the series is great. I thought this book was just alright. I mean, I enjoyed it. I'm probably gonna grab the next ones from the library as well. It wasn't my favorite, but I think the art style was fantastic. It was a very interesting idea. It was very dark, so I liked that about it. Wasn't my favorite, but I really did enjoy it. Gave it 4.5 stars. I had been waiting like 2 weeks for my audiobooks to come in from the library, and I finally got them all this month. This book was on my June TBR, and I listened to it on audio, and that is Daughter Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. I went into this book completely blind, and I don't even know if I should give you a synopsis because I think it's a really interesting story to go into not knowing anything about, because I didn't know what to expect, and I was thoroughly surprised. I'll just let you know that this is an urban fantasy set in Prague, and it was amazing. I gave this 4.5 stars. I really, really liked it. I think it was just such an interesting story. It was so new. The way that I kind of saw it in my head, it was like a mashup between Narnia and Angel Fall. I loved the characters, I loved the setting, I loved the fantastical elements of it. It was extremely new to me, and I was like, nice! It was a little bit predictable. There's a lot of backstory toward the end of it that's just kind of thrown at you, so it started to lag a little bit. I do want to continue the series soon. I think it's really interesting and I want to know where it's going. After that, I got another library book that's a graphic novel, and I was expecting this would take me a long time to read because holy moly, that's a huge graphic novel. But this is Blankets by Craig Thompson, and I read this in 1 sitting. Ladies and gentlemen, making sure there's no boobs as I flip through this. This is amazing. This is the first graphic novel I've ever given 5 stars. This book is actually a series of like short stories, but they all relate to the same person, his experiences, his life. It deals a lot with religion versus relationships, and I just thought it was so relatable, so well written, and so well drawn. I enjoyed it so much. I know the paperback version of this is like $20 on Amazon, but I'm gonna shell out that money one day because I need a copy of this. I adored it. It's a very wintry read, so I would recommend it to read in the winter, but yes, this was great. And don't let the size scare you because it goes by really fast. Over the course of the month, I was kind of skimming this book and I finally finished it yesterday. So I've been working my way through Vicious by V.E. Schwab. This book really surprised me because I thought it was a fantasy, but it's more of like a urban real world set, but it's about people who are trying to experiment with superpowers. I actually enjoyed this book. I thought the writing was just magnificent and I really enjoyed the way it was written. Victoria Schwab has just always amazed me with her writing, and that's what this book is highly acclaimed for, is it's written so well and the characters are so intricate. I thought the characters were awesome. I thought that they had really tangible personas and I was able to get into their mind and understand why they did the things that they did, and they were interesting. I just didn't necessarily relate to any of them. I didn't see myself in them. They were really fun people to read about, and it was a really immersive experience going from Victor's point of view because he is so dark and twisted and he's interesting. But again, I just couldn't place myself inside the book. The reason that I gave this book 4 stars is because it took me so long to read. The first half was brilliant and I read that in like a day, but then the second half kind of lags. There's kind of no direction, I felt like. It wasn't as gripping as I was hoping it would be, which is ultimately why I gave it 4 stars. But I would still highly recommend it because it's just so beautiful. I thought since I've read not that many books this month that I would just go ahead and include the book I'm currently reading, which is Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson, and I swear this is gonna pull me out of whatever reading hump I've gotten into because I'm only 62 pages into this, but I'm already loving it, so I'm just gonna go ahead and leave it at this. I currently have like 4 audiobooks waiting for me from either the library or I purchased them myself, so I'm gonna be getting to those this week and hopefully just blowing through a lot more books than I would usually be able to. Let me know what you're reading. Let me know if you're having trouble focusing on books when there's summer and so many other things to do. Maybe it's just me. Thank you all for watching. I will see you next time.